Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick at one point, okay? And yes, he has suffered a very gruesome injury to his knee, to his leg, but he's back. He was cleared for practice beginning of August. And all of the reports out of Bengals training camp is that the offense has struggled. Let's call it what it is. There wasn't a lot of connections with his receivers, some turnovers, some things you would expect, I think, from a quarterback that is returning from injury and trying to get his footing and trying to figure out how to make this whole thing work. But nonetheless, Jordan, it is almost as if we have forgotten that Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick and that these Bengals are supposed to take a step forward this year.
This is not a homer take. But in that same class, Justin Herbert, who everybody loves, and for good reason, I'm a huge fan. But people seem to lead with Herbert, most likely because he played an entire season last year. But give me Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert every day of the week, and that's the kind of praise I want heaped back on the star quarterback for the Bengals. Joe Burrow did magnificent things with no offensive line and a team that was one of the worst in the league last year until he got hurt. Joe Burrow showed me enough swagger, confidence, ability, and command of an offense, and again, playmaking ability to say, this is the guy. Now, what the Bengals did in the offseason, knowing who Mike Brown and that front office had been, says to me, they too know what they have. They spent money in free agency, something they never do. The most telling to me with the Bengals was how they drafted. Had a chance to take Penei Sewell with their first pick in that draft in the first round.
I don't know why they didn't.
Because Joe Burrow wanted Jamar Chase. And what we've learned in this new era of the NFL is disgruntled quarterbacks, they get too disgruntled, they're going to pack their bags. See how close it got, and it's pending with Aaron Rodgers. See how close it got with Russell Wilson. Tom Brady, I don't know if it's disgruntled, but ultimately he found a new home after a long run it ended. The Bengals are doing everything they can to say, hey, Joe, we're in this with you because we know where you can take us. They went and took Jamar Chase, his guy, electing not to protect Joe. But to me, that speaks to we want to give Joe what he wants, but also we feel good about our offensive line this year. The offensive line has to be better. You have to protect Joe Burrow to give this star a chance to shine bright because that young receiving core is quietly one of the most talented in the league with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and now Jamar Chase. You've got a guy in Joe Mixon who is a Swiss Army knife in that backfield and can do a lot of special things. Now you look to the defense. That defense up front, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, another one of those guys they spend money on. Can they get to the quarterback? An enhanced secondary. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are the team to watch for that could surprise.
Okay.
They're over-under. The number is set at 6.5. If you don't take that over, you don't like money.
Oh,
that's where we're at right now.
Jordan, half the problem with the Bengals is the division that they play in.
True.
Like, you're not going to sweep the Steelers, the Ravens, or the Browns. It's not going to happen. You're not going to sweep any of those teams.
But can you go 500 there?
Can you go 500 against each of those teams? I don't think so. You think the Bengals have a win over the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns in them?
I expect the Bengals to sweep the Steelers this year.
Let me keep it real as someone who's not from Cincinnati, okay, please. First of all, with their first round pick, they should have taken an offensive lineman. They should build a fortress around that quarterback in Joe Burrow because he is special. And you're going to get him mowed over if you don't have someone protecting him at all costs. Jamar Chase, yes, he is a great get. But maybe you could have traded up to take both Jamar Chase and an offensive lineman to help you out. Now, what the Bengals did is they tried to get value, right? Both up front on both sides of the ball. In their number 2 pick, instead, they went with an offensive lineman. In their 3rd round, they went with a defensive lineman. And in their 4th round, the defensive lineman. And on down the line. And so they were trying to build up front on both sides of the ball, but with value. And not in the 1st round, where they, again, went and took Jamar Chase as a receiver that obviously already has a connection, being that they're both LSU guys, with Joe Burrow. Here's the thing that perplexes me about the Burrow situation. Jay, when he went down with an injury, my husband here was on the phone with anyone that would answer in Cincinnati trying to see what the status was. And your initial thought was he might not even play this season.
I thought they'd err on the side of conservatism and say, hey, this is such a gruesome injury. He means so much. Let's sit him for an entire year. But the guy's a competitor. He has an edge. Not only is he back, he's ready for week 1. And they're going to not use him in this preseason most likely to protect him so he can step out there week 1.
And so all of these bumps and bruises that you're seeing along the way here in training camp, like people, again, they thought he might not even play this season at all. So, let him get out the interceptions or figuring out how to use, he needs to figure out how to use his legs in order to throw the way he's used to throwing. People don't understand that when you have that kind of injury, it impacts your entire body, not just your leg. So, give him a minute. Let him figure it out. Put him on a snap count, whatever you need to do.
6.5. is the over-under in total wins for the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you go under 6.5? Do you go over?
I'm going to go under. I think 6 is a good number for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Next year, I'll give them a bigger leap. But this year, it's about staying healthy and figuring out that O-line and making connections. It's just that division is so hard, too.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.